Joel, my regular guest, and as like I said, we are trying to bring different school members on every Wednesday. So we have the one and only Val Fears. So morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, so Val, I think a lot of people they'll hear your voice and they'll know who's on the stream with us without
Right,
even looking. But
right.
I think a lot of people may not actually know Val's story, Val's journey. So maybe quickly give a 60-second spiel on who Val is, what do you do, where do you invest, things like that.
All right. So I am a truck driver first and foremost, and so I invest in Winston Salem, North Carolina. I got. I'm working on my fourth one now. Trying to get it rehabbed and just trying to learn as much as I can. Been in this great community.
Sorry, I lost my mouse. I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, so go check out Joe. Joe's also streaming right now at the same time, so he should be on YouTube. Go subscribe there and like. But yeah, before we dig into Val's story, him being in the school community and whatnot, and I think you said you are working on your next deal, but you also know Joel from I think you folks did a transaction together also. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yep, yep. Joe did a refi for me, and actually working on a refi for me right as we speak. So yeah.
Very cool. So, Joel, you may know more about Val's portfolio than I do. I mean, but is there any things that you want to dig into with Val's story before I maybe jump into some stuff?
Well, the one thing I definitely want to dig into is just the acquiring the deal, how to get the deal, putting the work in, like because that I mean, the financing technically is the easier part, but the actual work and how you get it done and on the renovations, that's the part that I would definitely want to hear more about.
Yeah. So more or less, one of my guys, I don't know, my dog going crazy here. Uh, One of my guys, he had found a deal, and so then he had passed it on to me. But then it was, he was in some trouble. He had got into a little bit of trouble, so he was just like, hey, because he had me go look at it. So we went and looked at it, checked it all out. I'm like, man, this is an awesome property and a good deal, And I said, how can we put it together? And he's like, hey, I can't touch it now because I got some stuff I need to take care of. And then so with all of that, I was like, well, hey, well, do you mind? Because hey, biggest thing I didn't want to step on. I didn't want to feel like I was stepping on his toes trying to take a deal from him. But he was like, I can't do nothing with it. And so plus the guy, he was ready to move it anyway. And so that's how I end up pretty much landing that deal. And then when I got that deal, I was just then finishing up with another deal that I had in Greensboro, and so yeah, it's been kind of it's like once you start, then it's just like things just start coming at you left and right. So it's just that was one of the ones I just couldn't pass up. It was such a good deal. So
So, Val, you kind of touched on it a little bit, maybe, but so how long ago did your journey start, and maybe like why real estate? Is this something your family has done? Your parents? Has it been real estate has always been invested in your journey? I guess.
no. So my mom had basically just told me, back in the day, she had some uncles that came home from the war and down in Georgia that they had owned property and done some stuff. Everybody moved from the country to move to the city of Atlanta and started buying stuff. But my journey was I was just a truck driver and just sitting in the truck and listening to Dave Ramsey, and I was like, I spent a lot of time behind the wheel, driving, and because at the time I was delivering gas there because I did a whole gas for uh, 12 years, and so it was just I had XM radio. I've always had XM radio, so I was just like, with so many educational channels, I was like, man, I've got to learn how to do something to better my life sitting behind this wheel of this truck, and so it was just like so, it's always real estate. And I mean, even to go back, tell people how old I am when the first infomercials, I bought what was the guy's name that used to come on late night, used to have the infomercials that had the tapes. I don't even think the cassette, I think it was the tape cassettes. I think somebody, I'm drawing a blank now. Carlton Sheets. Yes, I bought the Carlton Sheets when I was a kid. but it was such different language, so it really didn't hold me. But I bought it. But real estate has always kind of been one of those things in the back, and so I just started listening to Henry Washington and Will Biaselli, uh, Beyond Wind. So it just started listening to a bunch of those guys, and just it just kind of took off from there. Just trying to, like I said, more or less educate myself for free, and then try to jump out there to test the waters and just see and go from there. So
Very cool. So maybe you can talk about the first deal you took down, and then maybe how's your journey going? Has real estate just been passive and this very easy?
no,
That was quick.
no. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but no, my very first deal. So I'll say I had kind of like a pre-step. So my dad, it was right at COVID, and so my brother had basically talked it up to my dad. Hey, let's go get a couple pieces of property. So they actually jumped on it, and so then I got like super excited. So I was just like, hey, let me jump in to this deal, test the waters, kind of manage it. It's like this was my introduction to say, okay, you've been studying, you've been looking, so it's like, if this the time to do it, let's do it. But then I don't have any money invested in the deal. So I was like, well, look, let me just manage it. Let me get let me absorb as much as I can. So I really jumped in both feet and just took it and pretty much ran with it and just applied everything that I was listening to and hearing and all of that. So that was kind of like my first one. But then it felt good, even though it wasn't mine. It was a joint venture, but it was like I orchestrated everything from the front seat of my truck. So just trying to do this, order this, making this happen, and then that just was like, oh man, like that went so smooth. So I'm like, let's do it. Let's jump in there and do it again. And then move into my first property. I actually, my first property was a foreclosure. So it was a house in the same neighborhood. Kept riding by it, checking it out. Got some information on it, and so I went around the whole deal of looking into a foreclosure. So if anybody know what a foreclosure is, it's kind of, it's plug and play. So you make a bid on it, then somebody outbid you, then make another bid. So it kind of went back and forth. But then we were in Tampa for my daughter's basketball tournament, and it was we was watching the Georgia game because they was in the playoffs and it was New Year's. So I think like that very next day, New Year's Day, I got the phone call, or maybe it was the day before. Maybe it was the day before. I got the phone call and said that I won the bid, and so I was actually in Florida, Tampa, Florida, when I got the phone call that I got my first rental under my belt. Well, I became the owner. I'll say that I won the bid. So yeah, and just kind of took off from there. So.
Very cool. Joe, did you want to add anything in? Or
Yeah. So if it's a foreclosure, what kind of time frame do you have to close? Do you have to have like a quick timeline, or like hard money or cash, or like how does it all work?
Okay, so with that kind of coming full circle, it was funny. I was talking to my brother, and you have to have cash. So you have to have cash, and I had no idea where I was going to get the cash from, but I was just going to shoot my shot and we was going to figure something out. And but my brother was telling me about a guy that I used to work at Pizza Hut with, and he was telling me, man, this guy he's getting it, and him and his wife, and I was like, let me get his number. And so I reached out to him just to kind of piggyback to say, hey, what do you think? And he's like, dude, I'll lend you the money on it. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll lend you the money on it. So with that, yes. So we had to have money. So once we did win the bid, he took it, he took the money down there and pretty much paid. I think we paid like 62, 66. I think when it's all said and done, it was like 66,000. It's like 66,000. And, and so we ended up getting the deal, and I funded the rehab. And man, it's been, it's been a ride ever since then. But yeah.
Can I ask a few more questions, Mark?
Oh, absolutely, man. I just want to give everyone an update that what may be tuning in for Lauren. She is dealing with a contractor right now. She got a call right before she jumped on, so she is trying to handle that. She may try to hop on from her phone, but if anyone was wondering, but go ahead, Joe.
Is that girl talk for having a bad hair day?
Maybe, I don't know. That's why I have a hat on.
Yeah.
That was a hider
Yeah.
comment. So you get it for 66,000. And how do you measure, project the renovations, and then did the renovation cost come in close to plan, or higher or lower?
Yes, everything that I had learned and watched, like I said, YouTube University is amazing. So I just really just stuck to my guns. But just prior, I had pretty much managed the one that me, my dad, and my brother was doing. So I kind of was running all the numbers, doing everything that I needed to do, and it needed a roof. So so basically, like really, like one of the guys that doesn't work in my house, I had called him. And so he did. He knew some people who knew some people who knew some people. So we got roofs done. The same guy who lent me the money, I called him for, where do I need to go get windows at? And so just kind of piggybacked off of that and just built those relationships. And so I kind of knew that we should have been right somewhere about 30. So that's how I ended up just pretty much kind of running the numbers. But then I pretty much had, when we had done that first one, we didn't do a lot. We basically just got that to where it was livable. But then I, listened to somebody and they were just like, hey, if you can go in, if you have the opportunity, my biggest thing is to try to add that value, add value. So I get in a lot of trouble sometimes with doing too much and, but I always get good values, get ARVs on the properties. So did that answer your question? I'm trying to make sure.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
because I know when I did my first flip, it did not go well. Well, my first and second one, they were kind of in the same timeline, did not go well, and they went over budget. And then COVID happened, and we just had a lot of problems. And the ability to walk a property, and then to be able to have your renovation costs be on target, I think that's one of the biggest people struggle at. So did you have somebody walk the property with you initially? Or
Yes, my dad, he did a lot. He did a lot. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably wasn't managing my numbers like I should have. I was just running through it, really just trying to get it done. Now we knocked the time limit out the park. We actually got it done like 2 months early. I think he lent me the money like 6 months, but we got it done in like 3 months. But like I said, when I tell you I was on it, but because that was that thing, I think that was the most scariest part about it, because I was getting private money. I'd only heard about private money, but I had no idea what I was doing and how all of that worked. I was just, I know he was a stickler, but then it's just like, hey, but it's just like anything else, if you get money from somebody, like, you got to pay that back. And, this ain't like $20, this was 60, and so he seen the value in it. But then I also know, hey, if I drop the ball or, if I messed up, he's going to take that property. So I think I had enough pride in me. It was like, nah, I can't let this fail. So we got to make sure, even if I had to put more into it, which I probably did put more into it, probably what I needed to. But, it was my first deal. And so I just wanted to make sure that, I wanted to make it more or less just get that concept. Like I said, I've done the one, me and my dad and my brother, but that was somebody else's money, and then it was like me doing my own, you take that pride in it, but then you want to make sure that, that you do everything that to do this right, cross all your T's, dot all your I's, and just make that happen. But yes, I had a lot of help from my dad and just making certain things, happen. But then he was there to kind of help oversee a lot of the stuff too, because I think he was just as excited as I was to. And then mind you, too, at that time I was just only home on the weekends, so I was doing the team truck deal there, so I was really just home. That's why I said I pretty much orchestrated everything, from the front seat of my truck, just making the phone calls and tapping in with this one and checking in with that one, and so it all came together. And then when the weekends came, hey, we're grabbing floors, we're getting materials, and it was a good process.
So like you mentioned earlier, you're working on your fourth deal right now, and it sounds like you started off with a good win. You got into a deal, and has it been easy along the way? I kind of want to get into, like, we talk about the good side of real estate, and we always want to talk about some of the ugly and bad. And I think maybe not everyone knows Val's story, like I said, and I think some of the first stories that you've talked about, I mean, I do know there was a motorcycle in the kitchen. You've dealt with a tenant for a long, like maybe eviction also, right? So maybe touch on some of those stories so people can also hear the other side of real estate.
All right, good deal. So so the first property we got that rented out, no problem. So there was a house like 11 doors down. I kind of did the driving for dollars, and she had one of her shutters was cockeyed or fell. So I'm like, that's a sign right there. Let me leave her a note. So I ended up leaving her a note, and all of that. She contacted me, and but that deal kind of came down the road. But in between time, I was trying to lock up that deal, but then I got a call from a wholesaler. Just like I said, just eager. We got that first one out the way, just eager. I got a call from a wholesaler. We was actually headed to a Panthers game. It was Christmas Eve. No, it was Christmas Eve. Yeah, it was Christmas Eve. And so we was headed to the Panthers game, and I got a phone call, and it was a wholesaler. He's like, man, I got this property in Greensboro. I'm selling it for 105, and I'm like, man, I know Greensboro is a strong market. And I was like, man, I'd love to get in Greensboro. I'm like, what we got to do? Let's have it. I got the bug now. I'm ready to get it popping. But he called. He's like, man, there's only one thing. And I'm like, what's going on? He said, there's a guy in it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, but I got a girl. She can help you. She's a property manager. She can help you get out. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it. Because I'm like, I'm ready to jump in. And so I had my co-driver at the time. I'm like, man, take this address and ride by there. Let me see it. Because he was actually at home that day. So I had him ride by the property because he lives in Greensboro. He rode by the property. And I said, man, let me see the street view. And I'm like, man, so it was just like, I said, let's do it. So we just started running with it. So I got faith in him that he's going to help me. And lo and behold, man, that was an ugly deal. So I ended up purchasing it, doing everything. It was an ugly deal. It was a brother-sister spat. And it took me a year. It took me a year and 5 months to get into that property. So
what?
Yeah, a year and 5 months. And
so you're making payments on a loan and getting zero revenue.
Yeah, and so I did everything that I could do. I went over there, started working with the property manager lady. She went over there. I think she went over there just guns a-blazing, and that didn't work out. And so she kind of fell off. So then it was just like, it was on me. And so it's like I'm making a mortgage, and it was just it was rough. It was ugly, like I said, that so you questioning yourself, and you talk about stress, and your wife looking at you crazy, and you sitting there questioning your own self, and so, but it was just like you said, it was the help of the community, and helping me pull that one through. But that was strong, because it's just like some of that. It's like almost like if you are going to be tested, that was definitely a test, because even my hard money guy, he didn't fund that deal for me, but he was like, dude, he's like, it's more deals down the road. Like just sell it, and move on. Just sell it and move on. But I was always that type. If I sell it, then I'm always that guy. It's like, well, what if? What if you waited out? What if? And so it was a lot. It was a lot, because like you said, you talking about insurance, you still talking about, insurance, and you talking about taxes, and $1,000 note every month. So yeah, it was real. It was real. So, and then, like I said, we finally, finally got him evicted. I had to end up getting an attorney and got him evicted and all of that. So, but then in the process of all of that, hard money guy, so the other deal came through. So in the process of me waiting on the number 2 house, the number 3 house came available. And so he was just like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? And he was just like, well, are you gonna work on that other property? And so, I'm at a point in my mind, I'm thinking like, bro, I gotta like pump my brakes. Like I can't budge, I can't move, I can't do anything until number 2 comes available. And he was just like, but when he said that, it kind of was like, well, daggone, if he telling me to go ahead and, make my move. So I went on and made my move. So we ended up closing on number 3, started rehabbing it, got it all done. And so, the whole time I'm like, man, I'm gonna have 2 properties coming available. I'm gonna have 2 properties coming available, but end up getting the number 3 property knocked out, still waiting on number 2. So soon as number 2, so soon as number 3 got done, I got attended to that. Then that's what Mark was talking about. So end up even with that property. So got a guy in there. He turned out to be, he stayed in there like 3 months. He never could pay the rent on time. And then me and my wife had went on a cruise. And then I get a phone call, time we get back to port. And it was like, the girlfriend's called because she's pissed. So they didn't have a knockdown drag out. And she was like, oh, he's got the motor. He's nasty. He smokes crack. He's got a motorcycle in the kitchen. And I'm like, what? So at the time I was working with a property manager. I'm like, look, like this is what she's saying. And, like I said, I'm down there in Florida trying to get back to the house. And so, yeah, it's been a little bit of crazy ride. We end up getting him out of there, end up getting another tenant in there. She's awesome. So, but, like I said, I think, in this business, you're going to go through some things, but, like they always say, only the strong survive. But again, I couldn't have made it without this community. Just, having somewhere that some people to talk to bounce it off of. I know I sounded crazy, you make you feel like you sound crazy, but, but it's almost like you got to have somebody to bounce that off of, because if not, just with the pressure alone, man, it's just like you start second guessing everything, So I know I'm jumping around there a little bit, but.
Joe, any questions for him about, I do want to talk more about why it took so long, maybe on getting rid of that one tenant, but you got anything for him?
I mean, just the relationship dynamic, like you're in a tough spot and it takes a long time, and then to still be married, that's a win. I mean, to still have your spouse support you and the dream and the process and all that stuff.
Just a little bit. She was raising hell, but she's still stuck in that though. I have to say that she raised hell, but she's still stuck in that. She rode for me. She rode for me a lot. So she ever giving me the side out.
I know. I was gonna just say, see, Joe's a wingman right there, so he knew that she was in the background, so that's why he threw that out there. So
hey, we get ready to cut loose. She get ready to leave, so we can cut loose now. Love you, bye. Don't make me some money. She's saying bye, Mark. So
bye.
Have a good one.
His internet friends today.
Yes, all my internet friends. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what she calls everybody. All my internet friends. So yeah. But she was good. But like you said, hey, them ladies, and that's the thing about women. They want to be secure. They want to make sure. But then that's the thing too. They always gonna worry about money. Where me and I feel like we're a little bit more risk tolerance, where women they definitely want that security. So I think that was just more or less that. But then not being able, and then also just not going through, never going through anything like that before. And like you said, hey, you always hear, oh, real estate's easy, but it's just like it is when you get some things worked out. But you got to get through some hard stuff, So, and that was one of the hardest things. And so, but now it's just like, hey, it's just another day now. It's like, hey, and even something that you said too, Mark. It's like, hey, but it didn't kill you, So so that's why I said it's just having a community and and people just going through things that they're going through, it definitely gives you that extra encouragement to keep on pushing no matter what, So
Yeah,
Well,
you
they
kind
say in
of
the NFL.
no. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying in the NFL, they talk about like good defenses, bend but don't break defense. Like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, so you did touch on dealing with struggles and whatnot, and like I said, that eviction took what a year and 5 months, you said, but then it sounded like once you got an attorney, almost that it was an easy time to get them out there. Did I kind of catch that, or like what would you do differently now? Like if you were put in that position again today,
Get an attorney off the gate and say that, and again, you being new in the game and you don't really know what you don't know. And so I really thought this property manager, she could get him out, but she went over there guns blazing. And then so it was just that wasn't good. And then like I said, it was just a deal to where he thought he still owned the house, and oh man, it was a mess. But he just, I mean, he pretty much just had his heels dug in. He wasn't leaving, so I offered him cash for keys. I did all the things that I had heard to do, watch podcasts and heard to do, but none of that, panned out. And then so time I ended up getting the attorney, that was the way to do it, and get him out. So yeah, but just yeah. Moving forward, yeah, if I ever come up with that again, yeah, the attorney's right off the gate, and yeah, because you don't have time nor the money to be wasting a year and 5 months, to get somebody out, which yeah, we've heard different situations where that has happened, but normally, yeah, just get an attorney and just yeah, get it done and over with, because time is money.
Harrison, tuning in from Virginia, says, "What kind of properties do you look for? Do you have a preference in location, like lake properties?"
No lake properties. My buy box is generally about three ones, 3 twos, right about 1,000 to 1,500 square foot. That's general. And then if I could find like the brick homes, that's really like my jam there. If I could find the brick home, yeah, I definitely like them. So
let's see what else. I thought I saw another question from Harrison earlier. Well, yeah, if you can touch on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say from a deal flow perspective, are there enough? Like, are there 5 deals out there to go do? Are there not enough deals out there? Like, what's the limiting factor? Is it the deals, or just the time and resources, or the funds, or like, what's for your situation in your market? What's the limiting factor right now for doing more deals? Is it deal flow, or?
I would definitely say deal flow, but then I'm also the pricing. It seems like some of the prices are a little steeper, and yeah, deal flow. Yeah, the money's not a big deal, not right now. But yeah, I think it's just more or less, it's just the deal flow, really. Yeah, the deal flow.
Is that because, like, I hear North Carolina as always being one of the hot markets and things like that? So maybe you can touch specifically about your area in North Carolina. Like, what kind of market is that?
The market I'm in, I think it's just more just like I said, I'm right there. I'm in Winston and in Greensboro. I got one property in Greensboro. Now, when you do say hot markets, what I generally tend to see on some of the other bigger platforms, they talk about Raleigh, Cary, out that way a lot, which those are some really expensive areas, and then they talk about Charlotte. But like where I'm at, the medium household is probably about, medium home right now is probably going for about, anywhere between 350. Well, I mean, no. We really got some high end stuff. Let me back that up. We got some stuff. Yeah, we got some 4s, some 5s, some 6s, but generally, like I said, the stuff that I look at, it's anywhere between 150, between 175 and 150. That's generally about where I'm trying to look, because you do have some higher end stuff, but then it's just like that's nowhere I really want to play, play ball, especially for a rental anyway. So hopefully I answered that question.
Would you say, because like for example, Pittsburgh has older homes,
Right.
people in
Right.
Florida dealing with maybe insurance issues,
Right.
Texas, property taxes. Like what would be something in your market that is hard to maybe make deals pencils, or the things that makes your market a little different in a sense?
That's a good question, because I hadn't really compared it to a whole lot. I think it's probably just about anywhere. Everybody feels like their houses is more than what it actually worth, and I feel like even, like this one now I'm looking at, it's done hit 200 days, but they still got a ridiculous price on it, so and it's in I feel like it's in a C minus area, but it's just like, I can't pay that, I can't pay that for that. So I just feel like really right now it's really just pricing, not unless, like I said, I just get an awesome deal somewhere. Now I'm getting wholesalers is, hitting me up, but that's like anywhere like an hour away. Like I said, I'm not really trying to do that. I'm really just trying to stay as close as I can, because the ones that I did do in Greensboro and the other properties that I have, like they're a good space away. So the biggest thing is you trying to find people that actually will go out there and do the work for you, because I got a group of guys that they do pretty much all my stuff, and so I just don't want to get to where I'm getting too far away where they're not comfortable going, if that makes sense. So I definitely will probably just say the pricing right now is just kind of high right now. So
I think you also touched on you're working on your fourth deal, right? So maybe
Yes, sir.
tell us about that deal a little bit.
Like I said, I got it through one of my contractors, and a guy lived in Virginia, and he had moved up there with his girlfriend, and he had it for years, and just never done nothing with it. So my contractor, he would go over to his. He has a house across the street, and so he would cut the grass for the guy. So he knew a lot of details. He'd done a lot of stuff for the guy with the house, and like you said, he was going to do the deal, but like you said, some things came up, and so he wasn't able to do it. So I just grabbed it, and we just put it to work. So it did not have HVAC in it, so we had to do HVAC. Well, the furnace was shot, so we had to do those two big ticket items. Didn't need a roof, didn't need windows, so then everything else is pretty much just painting floors. I had to get had to do some electrical, get the electrical. See, generally what I do, I got I got two Section 8. I got two Section 8. So Section 8 is kind of, they have their sticklers about certain things, the way they move. So I generally, when I do get them, I go in and fix them Section 8 approved, because, I don't want to be, which I got a couple of my trucking buddies, they call me the slumlord. The slummiest of the slumlord. So I hold that title to of high, but we definitely go in and just make sure that So I go ahead and we do all the outlets, and we do make sure that they got screens, and so I pretty much fix the properties as if Section 8 was coming in, and then what that does, that also holds me to a decent standard, to where then this is not and I know what my property is looking like, and then they should hold for a while without having to do any crazy maintenance on them. So,
Harrison, go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say, what's an example of something that you're required to do for Section 8 that you wouldn't otherwise have to do?
Oh, well, see, this house was I think they all start running together after a while. I want to think this house was in the 60s. This was a 60s build, so you only had the two prongs for the outlets on the walls. So we had to go in and fix all of that, and make sure everything is grounded out, and then in the living room, everything was on the walls. So we went in and put some can lights and put two switches on there. So it's just little stuff like that. We go in and just try to spruce them up. You got to have screens on all the windows. All the windows have to be functioning. Fire extinguishers, But like I said at the beginning, you just kind of wanted that standard, and that's the way I was going. So, so I just take it to every property because they're just a good standards just to have. Like I said, fire extinguishers, smoke detectors in every room. If you got a gas furnace, CO2, not CO2. What's that gas called? The other gas.
Carbon monoxide.
There it is. Thank you. Yep, carbon monoxide detectors. So yeah, just stuff like that. No tripping hazards. None of that type of stuff. But yeah, so and like I said, it just kind of keeps me on track. So that's all.
Harrison's asking Val, because
Yes.
you travel so much, what makes you like North Carolina compared to other states you have traveled through?
It's home. It's home. My dad, he served in Vietnam. He's from Alabama. My mom was from Columbus, Georgia. So I think when he met her, and it was just like, hey, we're not staying here. So one of his Vietnam buddies was like, hey, let's go to Winston, North Carolina. So he took off, and that's where we've been. So, but yeah, but I really enjoy Florida. My daughter's down in Jacksonville going to school, so we get down there as often as we can. So I'm really enjoying Florida. Yeah, I really like Florida.
So what's next for you? Are you going to be doubling down in your market? I know you've mentioned Alabama a little bit, and now you're talking about Florida. You're liking Florida. So what's next for you?
I don't know yet. I really don't. I do like. I've been looking at Alabama. I definitely like the pricing down there because they have the same type. It's a lot of the same type of what I generally like. You got the brick, 3 ones, 3, 1.5. I definitely like that. Right about like I said, 1,000 to 1,200 square foot. FMRs are good. And then you can get a low point of entry, but you're getting good cash flow. So I think that's what I really want to look at moving forward. And then, hey, with the cash flow, if I do get into another market, then potentially I can come back home and just do some stuff still in my backyard as well. So maybe out of state for cash flow, and then be able to be here and just buy better properties. So yeah.
So my big question I want to know though is how has it been working with Joel? We're gonna put you on the spot right now.
Okay. Hey man, I'm gonna tell you what, Joe, he's cutting to the point. I was actually able to met him in Vegas because he did my other refi, and I hadn't met him, but just being on your channel and again back to the community. And what you do. So yeah, I'm gonna say thank you for allowing me to be on your platform here and be a part of this. But just the content that you're putting out, and the people that you bring on, and so it really makes you familiar with people. And because I never would have thought that hey, I'll be talking to a mortgage lender, mortgage broker, or have his personal, phone number. We texting back and forth, getting deals done. But without this community and just having people on your channel, it's good, and it makes you just even that more confident doing what you're doing, because once you can start putting pieces together and things are not hard as what they used to be at the beginning, then it's almost like second nature. But yeah, Joe's been awesome. Joe sends me what he needs, and he sends me what he needs, and I just get it back to him. And so and like I said, it doesn't get any simpler than that. So I get him what he needs. He does what he does, and we come back together. We chop it up a little bit, and then hey, he goes his way, I go my way, and we get the deal done. So it's awesome.
So how much lower of a rate did you just get by saying that for Joel right now?
Oh, I don't know. He sent look, he sent me some stuff yesterday, and when I got up for work, I looked at it, and I hadn't really looked at it, but I got to study on it some more. But like I said, we still got some more stuff to do too, so it ain't really get too excited about it. Not yet. But what I did see, I was okay with it. Yeah, I did. Because he sent me, hell, I'm on my phone now, but yeah, he sent me some good stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
Well, one of the things too, is that the previous one, you know, the quote unquote rule, the property was
Yeah.
considered rural, and so
Yes.
you know we had to do a little bit of homework to make sure that there was enough comparable sales and the right distance,
Yeah.
and you know it
Yeah.
all checked out, and we did all the pre work,
Yeah.
and then we moved forward, so it all worked
We
out.
did, yeah. And see, another lender basically told me they couldn't touch it because it was considered rural. And so then that's when I reached out to you, and I was like, shoot, let's go ahead and make it happen. He was like, yeah, that ain't no problem. So like you said, when you got people that you can work with, it makes your job that much easier. So I'm glad to
Well,
have met you, and we're doing that deal together. Go ahead, Mark.
well, I was just gonna say on the flip side, as a lender too, it's like somebody comes to you for financing and then they don't get stuff to you quickly or at all, and then just everything
Right.
just becomes a mess. So uh Val is on top of his stuff, so it's been a pleasure to work with him.
Hey, you know what? I'm really trying to be, just listening to all of the podcasts and everybody doing what they're doing, man. I'm not organized at all, and so this here makes me get organized. So I'm thankful for that. But I just wait for Joe to send me what he needs, and I get it to him. And hey, man, we just go from there. So Joel, I appreciate you. Mark, appreciate you too.
So the question is, Josh Burdick is asking, because I'm not sure if he got a chance to meet you, because we can also talk about why Val's stay in Vegas was so short at the event. But Josh Burdick is asking, is Val going to Vegas event? Wait, number four.
Right?
Number 4, yes.
Yeah. As far as I know, yeah. If the creek don't rise, yeah, we'll be there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Panthers won't be in the playoffs, so you have nothing to worry about.
Don't do
And-
that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Hey, Charlotte's down there getting it right now, so in basketball. So hey, we'll take
Yeah.
what we can get.
I did see that. Yes, LaMelo. Yeah, he took out Bam's ankle. It looked like last night, but like I said, I'm not sure if Josh got a chance to meet you or knew you were there.
Yeah, I met Josh.
Well, you're like I said, you're only there for Saturday, right?
Hey, man, look. We'll get on the other calls, and I got connections with all my good folks. I'm good. I'm good. Yes, I met Josh. Josh is an awesome dude. I met him in Vegas. Like I said, Vegas was just I felt like people enough just hearing them tune in every week, and a couple times a week, depending on which ones you go to. And then, like you said, you make these connections. You have your little small questions, this, that, and the third. But yeah, I met him, and but yeah, man, awesome dude. He's really enjoyed. I met him. Like I said, in those little houses that he made everybody, I love those too. Because I called him yes, absolutely. I called him and got a extra batch of them. So that's kind of like my thing. What I was telling him was I like those little houses. So as I buy houses, I want those little purple houses, and then I can put them up, and then so I put them in my other bedroom. So when I go in there and get dressed, so that gives me something to kind of look at and to be like, okay, let's keep moving. So yeah, Josh is definitely doing me good with that one. So I'm expecting for him to show up at any time here. So,
nice. Yeah, Josh said you did hang out, so it must have been on Saturday. Like I keep trying to get. So why were you only there on Saturday at the event when it was 2 days?
Okay, I had got there the week before. We got there on Super Bowl night, and so me and the wife, we did the Vegas thing. Had never been that far out before. I had been out that far before, but just not on vacation. Like I said, I'm a truck driver, and so we got there earlier that week and done all the Vegas stuff, and I gave her the wrong dates. So that was my fault. I gave her the wrong dates, and then the flight that we had was flying out first thing Sunday morning, and so we had to make that flight. So that's why I tried to squeeze it all in on Saturday, and then the Friday before that. So but now we'll definitely be there for the duration this time for sure.
Definitely.
And actually, I met Joe. I met Joe there too. So yeah.
Yeah, it took only Joe 3 years to get there, but I mean, I don't know how far he lives, but he finally made it to the event after how many years of pressuring him to come, and now he I'm sure he'll be there. It sounded like he had a lot of fun also, but Val, you also keep touching on the community, right? And
Yeah.
I believe I mean you still might be, but I know you were in another it could have been school, I forget, but another community also real estate related.
Yeah.
And it's somehow you kind of
Yeah, I'm not over there no more.
okay,
Yeah.
and it's somehow you found this one,
Yep.
and then it kind of fit what you were looking for, right?
Yeah, just the brute honesty. Like you're gonna get kicked in the teeth. A lot of people don't say that, you know. And so when people say you're gonna get kicked in the teeth, but you're gonna be okay, you're gonna survive, that resonated with me, you know. So I was just like, yeah, you know, this is not a fluff channel, so let me hang out for a little bit and see what's happening. But then, like you said, once you got over here with so many people just contributing, so it's just like, yeah, this is where I need to be. So I reached out to one of the other guys that was in the group too, Rusty. And I said, man, you need to come over here, man, because they making it happen over here. And so, like, some of the, and see, the other place I was, it was doing a lot of gatekeeping, you know, and it was just like, you know, like, hey, look, I can't buy all the houses. And it's like, even when you would get on calls and everybody, they never would tell you what market they was in or who they talk. Like, everything was a big, giant secret. And over here, you know, everybody's willing to share. And I feel like if you're going to do it, you got to be able to piggyback off of somebody. You know, somebody's got to pull you up because you're gonna pass that same information on to somebody else. So you can't grow if you having to figure things out all by yourself, or you just because then you just get frustrated because then you can't get the information that you need to get, and then you fall into the analysis paralysis pool, and then hey, you just like, you know what, I'm just going back to work to pick up some extra time. I'll go do something else. So that's why I really enjoyed the group for sure.
I do see Christopher Ramsey tuning in. So good morning. He was our guest last Wednesday. Next week we will have Cody Albright on from the school community. He is a investor and property manager out in Louisiana, so that should be a fun one. He's also like I guess a former big time power lifter, holds personal record. He went to LSU, but that should be a fun one also. But yeah, so one thing we can also touch on too, Val, is you touched about the community getting kicked in your teeth, but what is the whole story behind your internet friends, right? So your wife likes to say you have these internet friends, and you jump in on these calls, and so touch on that a little bit.
She wasn't really into the whole rental deal, buying houses and all of that, because again, when people don't understand what it is that you're doing, so she was really kind of against it. But I'm just, I'm kind of hard headed. I'm more of that. I'm gonna do it, then ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. That I'm that type of guy, and so when I did do the first one, it was just like, hey, go ahead and do it, but then don't use any of my money. So I just tried to figure out some ways to make it happen, without dipping into the house funds, even though I end up dipping into the house funds some, but we got it all straightened out. But now she does see, what we're doing, what we're trying to get accomplished. And then when you have such a big group to say, hey, we're all going to Vegas and hanging out, then, I'm running around the house. I got this one on, I got that one on. I'm listening to you. Cause see, now she can kind of tell, whose voice in the background. Cause like I said, I'm always, moving around. So I got something, I'm listening to something. And so just with that, I feel like, on her end, it's like, okay, well, at least he's not just, he's just doing stuff. At least he's listening to other people, and he's got people to talk to about certain things. So that's going to make you more educated to make better decisions. And so we're not, messing nothing up, screwing anything up, So I feel like when your spouse can see that you're actually trying and making it happen and putting stuff together, and everything else ain't falling apart, then I think, that's when the trust gets to build, so. Because, she's never was one of them ones, oh yeah, just whatever you decide you want to do. She was like, no. So I've always called her. We've been together 20 plus years now. I've always called her. You want your dreams crushed? She will crush your dreams. She is the number one dream crusher. But yeah, she going along with the program now. So she understands what's happening. So
Well, I will say, yeah, Val is a big supporter. I always thank him for tuning in, except for Fridays. He'll hear it from me every Friday that he never tunes into my live streams. Uh, but Chris does say facts. Zero gatekeeping in ORAT. Um, hey, I see Andy tuning in. So Andy, go check out his YouTube channel. Andy, I think I was gonna give you crap too because I haven't seen a video for your channel this week. But go check out Lane 5. It's about faith, fitness, investing, family. So go check that out. But Andy says he has it on double time speed, trying to catch up, trying to decide if Mark sounds like Alvin or Theodore from the Chipmunks. But
Well, no, if you're on double speed, what does Val sound like on double speed?
Yeah, I know, right?
well, I was trying to figure out how to put the subtitles on when Val was speaking today, so that everyone tuning in could translate what he was saying. So that's the joke, right? That Val and Flavio would have a hard time having a conversation together. But that goes back to, like I said, everyone knows Val's voice. So I'm sure in Vegas, as soon as he opened his mouth, everyone around would be like, "Hey, that's Val. I know who Val is." They may not have met him yet, but they probably knew who he was. But talking about community still, and Andy jumping in. I mean, yeah, we also, when I was in North Carolina last year, we also had an in-person meetup, right? We all met up in North Carolina, even with Dividend Dave. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk about that, like even like these meetups that people are having in person.
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's great to commit, to be able to just communicate and just link up with people that's doing the same thing, because I feel like it builds confidence when you can get around a group of people that's kind of going all in the same direction. But then it's also good too that be able to bounce things off of one another because hey, we all going through something, and if you can lift somebody up to help them out, move forward. Just give them some words of encouragement. I really think that's what it's all about. But it's just really just everybody getting together just to talk. So yeah, definitely the meetups is always is definitely a good practice for sure.
And then once the NFL draft happens and the actual date for the Panthers Bears comes out, we'll probably be scheduling a meetup in North Carolina. I'll probably come on and check out the Bears Panthers game. But Stephen P from the Bronx says, "Hey Val, I'm in the Bronx, but I think we married the same woman."
Yeah. Yeah. Hey man, look, it's kind of one of those deals. They want to see it working. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got different wives. You know who you married to, and at the end of the day, if you know who you married to, you know how, what you got to do to win them to what you trying to do. So it's just you just have to keep grinding. Biggest things is try not to make as minimal mistakes as possible because they always gonna be looking. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, is that safe to do? Hey. And so that's just one of the things that's going to go with it. But that's why I feel like the community, asking all the questions that you can, learning as much as you can, and reaching out to people. I feel like that's what definitely gives you that momentum to keep going. But then minimizing the mistakes.
Joel, anything you want to ask Val?
Nah, I'm blanking right now.
Well, Andy does say, "Val is my people. I understand the language."
Good deal. Yes, sir. Yeah, and he's good people. Met him and his wife. We went and hung out, had dinner Friday night, Thursday night, one of those nights. So yeah, like I said, man, it's some good folks. Some good folks. Some real good folks. I'm trying to live up. I'm trying to live up to all these good people I'm around. So.
Yep. So Andy's a great person too. I had a lot of fun with him, and like I said, we'll try to get him on. Like I keep telling, I don't know if 11 a.m. Eastern works with him. I believe he's probably working though, so we might have to make an accommodation. Maybe we'll have Val and Andy on together. We'll do a special live stream and get Andy on here to share kind of what he's working on, his story. But yeah, anything else you guys want to touch on? Any direction? Anything about? Doesn't have to be real estate. Anything you guys seen recently in the news? I haven't got a chance to check on it. What about you, Joe? What is rates looking like recently? Because I know like the CPI data and everything came out yesterday. What's going on in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the whole Iran stuff had put pressure on rates going up for a few weeks, and it's starting to come back down a little bit, but still not as low as it was in February, probably. I think February was a little bit of a low, but it's really much status quo for the most part. But I don't know. I mean, the Fed chair is coming in I guess in May or June. I forget which month. And who knows? I mean, I think it just sucks because I think the economy is hurting. I mean, the growth is stagnant from the everyday person. So we need lower rates, but I don't see that anytime soon, unfortunately.
Well, being in the trucking industry, I mean, I see a lot of guys, they, oh man, we slow, but like I said, it's just the economy, people just ain't buying nothing, number one thing's gonna move: food, gas, regardless, that type of stuff. That's gonna move because people gotta eat and people gotta move. Well, they gonna move regardless, if they ain't gonna do nothing else, they gonna get in them cars and they gonna ride, so, but. Yeah, just the economy right now. So we just got to hold steady till this stuff pass.
There,
No, go.
There's one thing that I posted yesterday on Facebook. It was a Bloomberg article talking about how there's a 10 million single-family housing shortage, and I've seen some of the reactions on both sides. People saying that there isn't a shortage. How could there be a shortage of houses when houses are sitting on the market right now as we speak, and going under price and concessions and et cetera. And my take on it is that, like, the average age of a first-time home buyer was 28 in 2019. After COVID, inflation, now it's at 40. People can't afford to live, let alone buy a house. So if rates do go down, let's just say 1%, you're going to have more people now wanting to go buy houses, I think. And so then the demand comes up, and I think that people want a house, but they just know that it's not possible. So that's why the demand's not there. So I don't know. I think if rates go down, I think it could get really interesting in terms of the housing market. And Grant Cardone says that home prices will go down. If rates go down into the 4s, home prices will go down because there's so many people sitting on a home that they don't want to be in, that it's going to flood the market with inventory, which I see what he's saying. I don't agree with it, but just an interesting take.
I think it just all depends on the timeline you're talking about, right? So, prices might come down in the short term, right? Well, at first, if the rates come down, like you're saying, to the 4s, they'll have a quick probably uptick in price because people are going to jump in, right, with the lower rates. And then as the inventory, like you're saying, people that are sitting on these homes that now realize it and then start flooding the market with inventory, then you'll probably have, after a certain period, then prices will soften probably. So it all depends on the timeline that you're probably looking at, right? Stephen P is asking, hey Val, do you have a goal like 10 properties, then you'll stop, or are you looking at a specific number of cash flow each month before you stop growing your portfolio?
Yes, but I don't know what it is. So I say that is cash flow. Yeah. If I could retire the wife, if I could get to a number where she could retire, I feel like that would be. But I was having this conversation with somebody else. I feel like us doing what we're doing, I don't ever think that it'll ever stop, because it's like, I feel like once it's in you, and if you see deals and if you got the money, I feel like you'll take them down, So, but with that, I'm just just enjoying the ride right now, So if we can keep stacking them, we'll keep stacking them, but it ain't nothing in particular, But like I said, I will say 10 to 12, maybe like the Coach Carson, get 12, sell 2, pay some down, and like I said, just see what happens,
Well, to that point, and you kind of touched on earlier, your wife maybe, now, maybe she's not completely on board with the real estate side, or she's letting you do what you want to do, and so she's not maybe as involved. But we touched on it the other day too, and Zuber did have an interview with Jenny Ferguson, Mark Ferguson's wife, from Invest for More, who passed away last year, kind of unexpectedly. And he documented his journey the entire time. So he had a seemingly bigger real estate portfolio. He had liquor stores, all these type of things. But after that interview, and she's been talking about it on social media quite a bit, it seems like maybe for someone when they try to jump in, right, when something unexpected happens like this, now there's just no understanding of how things are operating, passwords, how to run this liquor store, run this business. So does that ever cross your mind with how your portfolio is being set up for, like, if something were to happen to you, then your wife would have an easy transition into taking over the properties?
Yeah. I actually ended up watching that last night. I ended up watching it, so that was good. But yes, we're actually starting to do some of that now. Just she's putting her on the bank accounts, letting her know where all the more. Which I'm not organized. She's the organized one, so I'm doing stuff and I give it to her, so she's organizing most of it. So she's linked to the main bank account. So yeah, I feel like if anything did happen, yeah, she could definitely take over and make it happen. So yeah.
Joel, it looked like you probably didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah. No, it looked like you were searching it up, right? You're kind of like who I might have been referring to.
No, I don't know who it was.
Okay. Yeah. No, so it was just he, like I said, he had like liquor stores and real estate. He's kind of one of the OGs. He was on YouTube for a while, so he had a pretty big channel. But last year he passed away, and then
how old did you say he was?
He's probably like 50, late 40s or early 50s. But like I said, like the wife's been trying to navigate things, right? And so she came and talked with Zuber, and just you could see it's a lot of stress on her, trying to figure out how things are going. Like it just so happened, like he just so happened to refinance a lot of properties right before his passing. And I don't know if maybe it was to pay off other deals or debt or whatever he put that money in. But then it's like some of these properties now that she's trying to liquidate or sell, it's like she's bringing money to closing, right? Because he just refinanced them, so a lot of them might be underwater or there's not a lot of equity there, right? So those type so those things. Even like she was talking about, like, so he had a liquor store in Colorado. But like I guess in Colorado you could only have one liquor license per person's name, and so they had another liquor store, and that liquor license was under her name. But when he passed, that liquor license automatically transfers to her. So now she has two liquor licenses under her name, which is not legal in Colorado. And so now she's trying to navigate that, and even like trying to get onto accounts of his, right? Logging into whether it's banking accounts or what. So it was very eye-opening, right? Just to kind of, maybe everything's like when we look at our portfolio or we look at how everything, we're like, oh yeah, I got this in order. I know where this is that. But then you're not really thinking about if something were to happen to you, can someone else just kind of come right in and figure out how the operation is going, right? So
yeah,
very good video. Yeah.
We're definitely, I'm definitely incorporating a lot of that as we speak, especially now, getting this other property knocked out and all of that. So you definitely have to communicate and let them know, what's going on. So like you said, yeah, if something does happen, they can, not have to go through a bunch of craziness if you don't have to, So it was a good video though.
Yeah, I know, because a lot of times when we're trying to grow, right, we're always thinking that refi till we die and grow and leverage. And then, this was kind of a very eye-opening one, kind of, maybe, it's not always the best intention to refi things, right? Or maybe keep some, lower debt. But yeah, very good video. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. And like I said, I'm sure we'll be talking about it more. But yeah, anything else you want to say, Val? You got any questions for us? You got a question for Joel?
No, nothing right off hand. Nothing. No.
Well, like I always give you a hard time that this is took a while to get you on the channel. You know, you jumped on everyone else's channel before mine, right? But it took me a while to come on here, and I always give you a hard time on Fridays for never tuning in. 'Cause Val jumps on the out of state investing call instead. You know, he has to make a choice, and he goes in that direction.
I always go back and watch. I always go back and watch you and Emily's videos. Y'all do some good stuff on Fridays. So and Emily's pretty cool too.
Yes, yeah.
I love her energy. She got some amazing energy. So yeah.
Yep, day one speaker for year 4. Like I said, she will be speaking, and I just I don't know if I should say it. I won't say it yet because it hasn't actually come out yet.
Oh well, you gotta say it. Come on.
No. I just heard that I might be moderating a certain something in Vegas for year 4 between 2 individuals debate. I'll just leave it at that for now. I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll
That's
see.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be a fun one. But yeah, I recorded with Lumberjack and Dion this morning. Zuber is on his trip, so instead of going through the comment section with Zuber, Dion and Lumberjack tackled a lot of the comments. So not sure when Zuber's going to put that out. I'll probably put it on my channel also, but it was a lot of fun hearing those perspectives from 2 different individuals breaking down some of the comment sections on Zuber's videos and even some of their videos that they've had. But yeah, sorry Lauren couldn't join us today. They said you're getting kicked in your teeth once in a while, and I guess she had a contractor to deal with, so that's what she's working on right now. But Joel, always thanks for doing this, linking your channels ahead of time, how if you're not doing it last minute.
You only had to tell me like 37 times.
I make it so easy. I send you the link, the thumbnail. That's like anyway, Steven says, Stephen P says, of course, when I was talking to the guys from the firehouse about organizing things for my wife in case I passed, the boy said, don't worry about that. Her new boyfriend would take care of everything.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
Yep. Tonight, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, so my Dallas interviews, the first ones are out on YouTube. I haven't posted anything in school. I need to do that in school. But the first one that came out is the owner of the Apothecary. It's a whiskey bar who hosted the event. Brandon's will be coming out later in the month, and then a couple other ones as well. I'm going to be in Kansas City on May 9th doing the similar thing, event interviews. Troy Roberts and I have been talking about some stuff, and maybe trying to link up when I'm in town there. And he's in the Seattle or Washington area. I'll be in LA in June 13th, and then Idaho, Pittsburgh probably later in the year, like September, and then North Carolina, South Carolina later in the year. So put that in the back of your mind, Val.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
What are you doing? He's taking his show on the road now?
Hey, he told me.
I told you that.
Well, just letting everyone, we don't mention Brandon's name around here. He broke up with me, so.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
He's gonna step away from Tuesdays for a while. So Gus has that spot now. So we don't talk about Brandon anymore.
Yeah, he did tell me that because he was too busy.
Yeah, he got too busy, and he just sent me a text message, and that's why. And then I called him. I'm like, dude, how are you gonna break up with me over a text message? He's like, oh man, it's not you, it's me. Yeah. What part of Idaho, Josh is asking?
Well, I'm gonna be I forget what area that Lauren's in. I'll be linking up with Lauren in Sun Belt or Sun Valley or Sun Coast. I don't know what it's called.
Hey, I see Caleb Macias tuning in from Instagram, First Responder Finance. He says it's going to be a long process either way, that the houses that will flood the market were already overpriced, so people can't afford to drop prices too much. Well, I think it's the properties that people have, like you're saying, right, that have held for a long time, right? So they have a lot of equity built up. They bought it at like 2%, and right now it just doesn't make sense for them to sell it and then move into a property at 6%, where their payment might be the same, right? or more if they're going to get a bigger home, right? So,
Yeah.
but we'll see what happens. Josh Burdick moderating the bald guy. Yes, possibly. And then so the bald guy and another individual will be having a debate, I believe. So this is the first I've heard of it this morning. So this is all news to me also. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all I got, man. It's fun. Good. It's good getting you on finally, Val.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Glad to
always
be
a fun
here.
time. Yeah, you know, like if anyone else in school, like I said, if you want to jump on, share your story, tell everyone what you're working on, get comfortable recording, talking about yourself. It's fun. Ask Chris is here still yet in the chat, so ask Chris. Chris had a fun time. I think Val had a fun time. It's not it's very chill. We're just talking story here. Yeah. Bringing the question back, Val, have you ever had your wife have you ever had your wife have great input or insight into a deal home that you missed?
No, no, because it wasn't really. Yeah, I hadn't really done. So pretty much everything.
2022, I got my first duplex.
So yeah, everything I picked up, I pretty much just ran with it. You know, I hadn't really went after something and didn't get it. So everything I pretty much got, yeah, I done pretty much done the deal. So I ain't got there yet.
Hey, Flavio. Yeah, Flavio is trying to we'll get you and Flavio on a live stream together, like I said.
That's it. We have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good stuff.
Well, last question then. We'll wrap it up with this. And like I said, the big talk right now on Zuber's channel quite a bit and out there on social media. So I know Joe's already kind of given his responses a few times. But Val, can the average person still build wealth or become rich today?
Yeah. It's gonna take some stick-to-itiveness and just keep getting it. You know, get educated. Find some good people in your circle that you can bounce stuff off of. You know, hey, shoot deals to. You know, hey, if you unsure about something, shoot the deal to them. You know, run the numbers backwards, forward. You know, and then pull the trigger. And you know, again, just like you say, hey, a lot of this stuff you'll figure it out as you go. The biggest thing is just jumping and getting in the game. So.
All right. Well, this was a fun one. It's always good.
Yeah.
Joe catching up. Val, glad you could do this. Everyone tonight, what time is it? 4 p.m.? No, 10 p.m. 8. No. What time does Charles the Wednesday Zoom call?
It's 9 o'clock out here on the East Coast.
Okay, 9 Eastern.
Yeah.
The Wednesday Zoom call that Charles is in charge of now that Frank has stepped away from doing that on Wednesdays, but yeah, it still goes 5 to 6 hours, you know. So like I was telling some people, if you guys do tune in, if you go to the school homepage and you do not see the flashing that's still going on, I would still check the calendar. You can click on the link, and a lot of times I'm sure people are still shooting the shit on there. So even though it might be scheduled for 2 hours, it usually goes much longer than that.
Yeah, they're gonna go for 4 hours.
Yeah, and Val gets paid while he's doing it. So Val likes it because he's driving. So he's just driving his truck, listening in.
They get me all the way to West Virginia from Greensboro to West Virginia. That's 4 hours as hard as I can go, and we'll go to 4 hours and then some. So yeah, they go pretty hard. So, but it's a good time just to vibe, and you know they'll ask the questions at the beginning, but then. You know, you have a couple of people that'll leave, but then it gets pretty intimate, you know. And I say intimate, people can dig a little bit deeper. They can actually ask the questions that they may not want to ask questions in a large room or feel like it's a comfortable space. But and so when the numbers get down, yeah, it really gets, you know. I think everybody kind of pours out, and everybody can kind of pick up. As I say, pick up a few chicken nuggets, you know. So, yeah, it's good stuff. We have a good time. We have a really good time.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see everyone back on Friday. I'll be with Emily, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I'll be back on Saturday. Bitcoin Nick is back from his travels. I
Right.
know he went out on travel during spring break, and he had a lot of. Even though on his trip he was still putting out videos talking about this is why you invest, right? Like you invest so that you can travel and take these trips, right? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
part of investing. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, if you want to jump on the Wednesday meet the school member, let me know. Reach out to me in school, and we'll have a fun time. So everyone, have a good day.
See
Appreciate
y'all.
it.